Short girl props. Short girl props. Hello everyone, it's Gina and this is Trash Glam. Today we're going to be doing the eyeshadow palette tag. I've been seeing this tag go around. I believe it originated from Samantha March and Allie Glines. I can link the original videos down below, but I'm sure a lot of you have seen these videos. I've been very anxious lately, as I'm sure a lot of people have been during this time, and I feel like watching these videos and other videos like declutters or get ready with me's have been very calming for me, so I thought maybe doing them might be something calming for me as well. So yeah, let's get into it. I don't have a huge collection. I definitely don't have like a minimalistic collection, but I definitely think you're gonna end up seeing some repeats in some of these questions on the tag, because my collection isn't like as huge as, you know, beauty gurus would be on here. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have some repeats, but I'm just trying to answer each of the prompts to my best ability. The first part of the tag is show your newest palette. So my newest palette, at least currently, is the Sugar Pill Capsule Collection C1, I think it's called. It's called like Capsule Collection C1, the pink edition. And this is actually my first Sugar Pill palette and or eyeshadow. So far I really like this palette. It definitely like has a weird layout, but I kind of love it. It's kind of fun. I love the colors. I love pastels and brights. So these greens, these like periwinkle purples, and this shade is great as an eyeshadow, but it's also intended to be a blush. The shimmer shades are the large pans, and then the mattes other than the blush are the small ones. Okay, now the oldest palette. My oldest palette, as far as I could research and remember, is the Grav3yard Girl and Tarte Cosmetics Swamp Queen palette. Now, as you can see, I loved this palette. I hit pan on like a lot of the shades. This highlighter is glittery, but like it is bomb. I like this blush. It has a little shimmer. The bronzer included in it is a little bit too warm for my skin tone, but honestly it works well as a crease shade. Yeah, but I've had this since the year it came out, and man, I have loved this palette. It has that classic Tarte smell, you know, that Tarte vanilla smell. And Tarte shadows aren't like, you know, the most pigmented or the most exciting, but they're definitely great staple everyday shades. When I was working, I totally would wear these kinds of shades every day. Obviously I haven't hit as much pan on the purple row, that kind of purpley nude row, but honestly it was just because I felt like those tones didn't look as good on my skin tone. They almost looked a little bruise-like. I'm pretty sure you can't find this except in the depths of Poshmark and Mercari, but I still love this palette. The next prompt is show your most expensive palette, and as far as I can remember and research, I am near positive that the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Jawbreaker palette is my most expensive. I believe this retails at $58. I think it's currently out of stock, but it's definitely still available. This was the summer launch from 2018, I believe. Or was it 2019? Oh, how the years have gone by. You know what? It might have been 2019. I think it was. This retails for $58, but when I actually got it, I ended up getting the bundle with the... It's stuck in my holder here. I ended up getting the bundle with the Mini Breaker palette, and so both of these palettes together were $75. So technically, I guess I paid less for this than if I had just gotten it on its if I had gotten both of these on their own, but this, I'm pretty sure this is my most expensive palette retail value at $58. Next prompt is show your most affordable palette. Now, I used to have a little bit larger of a collection than I do now, especially during this time that I've been home. I've been kind of realizing what I really love, what I really use, and really curating my collection a lot. I've had a lot of stuff that's been older, it's gone off, been expired. stuff that I just wasn't using, or stuff that I had really used to the best that I really would. Like you saw in the Grav3yard Girl palette, I'm pretty close to having lived that one's life out to the fullest. So this next palette I have is currently the most affordable in my collection at the moment, and that is the ColourPop and Sailor Moon collab palette. Now, I know that this palette got a lot of mixed reviews online, but honestly, I like it. The color story is definitely maybe not what you would expect for a Sailor Moon palette in terms of, like, you know, her uniform, the Sailor Sunshi's outfits, but it does kind of have the soft, iridescent, almost like fairy-like magical girl tones in it. And I know it's not the most exciting. It does have these brights down here, but these nudes are really what I go for when I'm having like an everyday moment. And I also really like the pops of color in here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is, I believe, $20 retail. Okay, they had some technical difficulties. Things might have shifted there a little bit. But the next prompt is show your everyday palette. So I interpreted this question as being like, what's your go-to kind of basic everyday palette? And then with that interpretation, I kind of had it tied between two, but I'd like to talk about both of them. So I'll just very quickly show the first one. It is the Huda Beauty Nude Light. And I have not tried Huda Beauty's formulation in her larger main palettes. I've heard good things. I've heard it's not everybody's favorite, but the quality is there. I've just never been like ready to drop $65 on an eyeshadow palette all the time, especially if I'm not like completely in love with the color story. I have to admit, for my style, I was kind of tempted by the Mercury retrograde, but honestly, like, I just didn't need it for $65. So I actually really love this. Obviously, if I consider this an everyday palette for me, I really like her 9-pan Obsession palettes. I only have 3, and I will probably show the rest of them in a bit, but I really like this. Like I kind of alluded to earlier, my everyday look is a pinky neutral with a little bit of an ethereal shimmer on top, and that's exactly what this gives me, especially for my very pale complexion. This particular one, of course, she had her medium nudes and her deep nudes, which looked gorgeous, but they were just a little bit too rich for that to be a nude or everyday palette for me, and these really are the colors that I go to in this. Now, in a very similar vein, the other palette I have that I would consider a everyday is actually a custom, you know, magnetic palette that I built with Zuzu Luxe. Now, Zuzu Luxe is the sister company of Gabriel Cosmetics, which, if you have not heard of either of them, they are a kind of organic, clean, green beauty, whatever you kind of want to call that sort of natural, as in natural ingredients, beauty brand. They're actually local to me here in Washington State, and they were really one of the, I guess, pioneers in the world of green beauty. Long before it became kind of like a buzzword, they've been around for almost 30 years. I want to say they just celebrated like their 28th anniversary, but I'm not entirely sure. So basically they have single eyeshadows. They have a couple of palettes in the Gabriel line that are, you know, curated and permanent, but I built this myself actually at their flagship store in Redmond, Washington, and obviously you can tell I love these pinky nudes. I used to wear a lot of warm nudes. I still do it here and there, especially like you saw in the Swamp Queen palette. But honestly, my go-to everyday look is a pinky nude. I wear a lot of pinks and pastels. I just kind of find that to be the easiest way to kind of keep my personality and my sense of color into my look, when also making it just like an easy breezy work appropriate look, or whatever you want to call your everyday look. Because I'm not necessarily like an everyday work appropriate makeup wearer all the time. Like as you can see today, I'm actually wearing the Huda Nude palette on my eyes. It's probably gone through something today because I was walking around a lot because I could finally go outside. But yeah, that's really my easy go-to, is just slap on some, you know, I'm somebody who likes a base shade over my eyeshadow primer. Throw this kind of mauve-y tone in the crease. I got kind of a shimmer here and a lighter shimmer for my inner corner, for the lid in the inner corner, and it's a day. It's like the easiest thing for me to do. Most colorful palette. This one is maybe one you can interpret in a couple of different ways. My Jawbreaker palette, as aforementioned, is very colorful and probably has like the most colorful shades in it. But then at the same time, the Sugar Pill one that I showed earlier, it has like all color. Like there's not really a single neutral in here. You can maybe count this mauve pink as a neutral, but like even this has like, you know, browns and nudes and white and like a really light nude. But depending on how you want to answer the question, I feel like these two are my most colorful palette, and I love both of them. I love playing with colorful shadow, especially lately when I haven't been having to worry about, you know, work or stuff like that. Just being at home has just kind of let me experiment with color and experiment with my skills and kind of practice and learn as I go. The next one in our prompts is show your largest palette. Now, at first I thought, oh, this is going to be Jawbreaker again, but actually Jawbreaker has 4 rows of, I can't count, 6 shades, but, oops, I just dropped her. She'll be okay. My Morphe and James Charles palette has, now you do the math, 5 rows of 6 shades. So this is actually my biggest palette. And honestly, it's not like, you know, Jeffree Star eyeshadow quality, but this is my only Morphe palette. It's the only Morphe shadows I've ever tried, and I think it's not bad. I like it. It's good for these easy, you know, pinky nudes, maybe a slightly warmer pinky. And then these pinks, trying to remember if I've had staining with these. They're nice pinks. I love like a hot pink moment in the crease. I'm not gonna lie. I am that trashy girl. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go there. And I really hadn't played a lot around much with green until I got these, until I got this palette. And I think these are nice greens. This green, this sadly named Nate green, is a lot better than the infamous matte green in the Jawbreaker. Sour just isn't it. It gives a similar tone, but it actually delivers. This doesn't really that shade was really kind of my dud shade in this palette, even though I love it. That just really was not it. This works. I love this lime green shade. You know, once again, it's not the Sugar Pill green, but it's a great lime green when you're just going for kind of a slightly grungy but ethereal fairy green look, which I've been kind of getting into. I'm not a pressed glitter person, but I have it. It's here. I've played around with it like once. But, you know, for the price and for the amount of shadows you're getting, if these are your colors and you're comfortable with like Morphe prices and quality, it's not bad. Now, the next one is show your smallest palette. Now, my everyday palettes were pretty small. If we're going in terms of like portability, it's kind of equal. It's just a matter of, is it long or is it square? So, once again, I wasn't entirely sure how to interpret it. Maybe I should have watched more people's videos, but these Huda Beauty Obsession palettes have more shades than this, but once again, this was one that I put together myself. It's not like you can go and get this off the rack, but you can select these same shades in case you're interested. But these Huda Beauty ones are definitely my smallest curated eyeshadow palettes, and like I said, I really enjoy them. They're not like the perfect formula, but they bring me they bring me like little, especially the more colorful ones I have, which I'll show you in a second, they bring me pops of color into my collection that I don't necessarily need a whole like full-sized, you know, 18 shade or 35 shade palette to really bring that vibe into my collection. A great example of this is the Neon Obsessions. Now I know that, once again, that was kind of a hit or miss release. A lot of people preferred the orange and pinks. I think those were the other two, orange and pinks. This is the kind of, I guess, green neons. Obviously the whole palette is not green, but we have these amazing, neons up here, and yeah, it kind of is a dusty pastel-y neon green. It has a pretty big shimmer ratio, but that's kind of why I like these palettes. It brings me these really interesting glittery shimmers, and even like some of these are more like yeah, like topper shimmers than like a full-on base pigmented shimmer. But I like that because it allows me to kind of play with dimension and color shift and sparkle in a way that I wouldn't normally in some of my other larger, you know, curated palettes. I love the size of these. They're so portable. It doesn't waste any space. Like, I've heard great things about the ColourPop monochromatics, but what I like about Huda's Obsessions is that she has these complementary shades in here. It's not just all green. It's not just all neon yellow green. It has like the peach. It has those shimmers. I just like to play with color, and these are a great, reasonably priced way. I believe they're between $27 and $29. I'm not entirely sure. To get, you know, high-end quality shadows and play with color in a way that you might not normally when you're, you know, for example, investing in one of her $65 palettes. Like, that's not really my kind of thing. But yeah, so I showed you already the Nude Light. This is my go-to everyday kind of vibe. And then my most recent of the Huda Obsessions, and these are the only three I have, are these more newer release ones, is the Mint. And once again, these didn't get the best reviews. Like, I know that these are gonna look dusty and ashy on some people, and like, you know, that's really just a lot of the times what happens with pastel shades, which is kind of unfortunate because I love pastels. But you still have depth. You still have the depth of these nudes. This is a really interesting formula. It's like, it really ends up just kind of being like a similar shimmer iridescent topper, but you know, it's fun. It's fun to play around with, and it does have a bit more range, in my opinion, than, let's say, the ColourPop monochromatic palette Mint. Yeah, because you get those nudes to kind of blend together with the mints. And I really like it. I know it's not going to be flattering on everybody. I know it's not going to be everybody's favorite thing, but I love these for playing around with color, for travel. It's so fun. Now, this one is probably one of the hardest prompts on this tag for me, and that is going to be show your palette with the best memory. I have been trying to get out of the habit of putting too much sentimentality into makeup items, clothing items, whatever it is in my life that takes up space, that really ends up taking more space than preserving memories. But I know that it's okay to like have those memories with or without the things, and it's also okay to use something or have something and just have it remind you of a really good time in your life. So I have three here that I'd like to talk about because I couldn't decide which one. They were all really special to me because of the memories attached to them, but I couldn't narrow it down to just one. That just wouldn't be fair. So the first one is a repeat here, and this is the Grav3yard Girl and Swamp Queen palette from Tarte. As I showed you before, it has been through it. I am like basically trying to pan at least like this shimmer and the rest of these, maybe a little bit of this. I was really excited when I saw that Buddy announced she was going to launch this back then. I loved her, and I still do love her. I wore this a lot, as you can tell, in general, but especially during probably my second half of my college years. This was my go-to for every day, but also for when I just wanted to go out with my friends, had some kind of event. Yeah, I loved this thing to death, and it was also really easy to travel with because, you know, it had the highlight and the blush and the bronzer and everything too. Even though the bronzer is not my favorite, I can make it work if it's like all I have to work with. And what was really special is that my mom got it for me, and she knew I loved Bunny, and she knew I loved Tarte, and she knew I was so excited about this. And I think, like, I don't remember, it feels so long ago, but I think like maybe its first launch it sold out, at least on Sephora some places, but somehow my mom snagged it either on the second relaunch or somehow, and it was just the specialest surprise for me because I knew how much she knew that would mean to me. And now to this day we like still watch Bunny together. We will like sit in the living room and dream her on our TV, and that's really special. Even my little brothers like to watch her. And what makes it even more special is, in addition to all the times I wore it and how much it meant to me that my mom got it, this is the palette I was wearing on my eyes when I went on my first date with my boyfriend for the first time. I flew out to New York to meet him in person because we met online. I know, it sounds so cheesy, but the first day I was in New York, I remember I got to my friend's apartment in Brooklyn and I sat on the floor in front of her mirror while she was at grad school or work or whatever it was she was doing that day, and I did my makeup before I went into Manhattan to go meet him for our first date, and I will never forget that. And, you know, it's a go-to for a reason. It doesn't let you down. Yeah, but that was really special. I remember just wearing like a really bronzy look, a cute romper I still have, and I just felt so cute, and it was so special to have that day with him for the first time. And now we have many more days that we get to spend together. Now, the next one I want to talk about is another repeat, and that is the Morphe and Jeffree Star palette. Like I said, I don't have any other Morphe palettes. This is my only one, and I like it. It's great to kind of have a range of the looks I like to do. I do love a hot pink look or cranberry look. I've been really digging green looks lately, and like I said like 5 million times already, I love a pinky nude look. So it's really a good kind of catch-all palette for my personal aesthetic. I do love doing, like, you know, rainbow dramatic looks too, but I feel like the pinks and the greens kind of bring in that color play. And why this is special to me is that my dad got it for me for my birthday last year, and that was so special because my dad obviously doesn't really know anything about makeup. He's not like somebody who, you know, keeps up on that. Like, he loves like watching MLM expose YouTubes and like old vintage computing YouTube and like tech review YouTube maybe. I don't entirely know, but like he does not really watch Jeffree Star. He knew that at the time that this was available, I think it's still available, I think it's on sale a lot lately, but he was in Ulta kind of before Thanksgiving and before the holidays, and my birthday comes kind of just right before Thanksgiving, so they already have a lot of the holiday releases out around that time, and he knew I really wanted the Conspiracy palette with Shane and Jeffree, but he didn't understand the concept of like you have to be on that like the second it drops, like the day of it launching with stuff like that, which is really sweet and kind of like endearingly adorable, that he didn't realize like how hard it would be to get that for me, but he ended up seeing this and knowing that it was right up my alley, and that, you know, as problematic as he is, I love Jeffree Star products, whatever your opinion is on him. Like, if you don't buy from him or you don't buy from Morphe, like, that's totally fine. But, like, I really do enjoy his eyeshadow formula. And while this isn't his eyeshadow formula, number one, how's my dad supposed to know? Number two, it's still pretty good and it's cute. And it's a good kind of, like, if you need a bigger travel, take, like, one big palette with you and have, like, your looks for, like, a long last week or something. That's totally That's totally what that is for me. Okay, and then the last one I want to mention, and maybe do a sort of honorable mention at the same time, is, as I mentioned, my dad knew I wanted the Conspiracy palette. And I know it was like a huge cash grab, but honestly, like, I love Shane Dawson. He's another one of my OG YouTubers I stan. And I know this is kind of a jumbled color story. I know that it is, and but I like it. I don't use it as often as I like. I think once I kind of pan some of my go-to neutral palettes, like the Grav3yard Girl one, I will dip into the neutrals in here a lot more because I really like them. It's just, you know, I don't think, oh, everyday look, go for this, but I'm determined to use it a lot more. And then I also, the one I kind of want to highlight even more than that is the Mini Controversy palette. Unlike my dad, my boyfriend understood that he had to be sitting on the website for lunch day, and he went between like Jeffree Star's website, the cosmetics website, Morphe Beautylish, I think, or whatever other ones, and finally at some point, because whatever glitch they had with the minis, I think, he was able to snag the Mini Controversy for me. This was a birthday present to me. I feel like the size of this makes it a little bit more cohesive, and I really love this palette. And I feel like since then, and since I got the Jawbreaker palette, I've really been able to play around with these blue tones. I love these pastel shades. They work great as an option for a colorful look, just getting some light shade in the crease to make blending out easier without going in with like a nude toned one. And they're just kind of really fun to take that look to the next colorful level. And you know, Diet Root Beer is just a classic warm tone nude. And I'm glad to have it in both palettes, I'm not gonna lie. I know everybody is still lusting after that green, but honestly I'm not like a, I guess it was kind of like an emerald or Kelly green color. It was gorgeous, in the video at least. I've never swatched it. But I really like the cohesiveness of this and the like sort of nude quad you get here and these colors. I took this palette as my only eyeshadow with me to my first trip down to Oklahoma to meet my boyfriend's family for the first time for Thanksgiving. And I had so much fun just dipping into this and using this and experimenting with, you know, really subtle looks for, you know, meeting the family for the first time. I felt like this quad was a great kind of turkey and gravy and cranberry sauce vibe for Thanksgiving. And then, you know, I wore my favorite kind of blue winter sweater and popped on these blue shades, and I went ice skating with him there, and it was just like the perfect vibe for that moment. Yeah, I really enjoy this one, and like I said, I enjoy the Conspiracy too. So I thought this was the only one he was going to be able to get, and then they had like a very quick restock right before the holidays, and he was able to get this for me too. And this was also like the first Christmas gift for our first Christmas we were actually able to spend in the same city, so that was really special. Those hold wonderful memories in my heart. My makeup loving heart. We are now on Show a Palette Worth the Hype. Now, I try not to jump on bandwagons too much. Like, as I said, I love the Conspiracy palette, but I feel like there was so much hype around this that I don't know if I would say it was worth all the hype. Like, I really do love it. I like the quality, but I don't know if I would consider it up to par with Jawbreaker for the most part. I personally never had Blue Blood or Blood Sugar yet, and I haven't tried those formulas. I also have Beauty Killer, obviously Beauty Killer and Androgyny if you're familiar with that, and then anything after Blood Sugar, it's not really the same formula. But honestly, I would probably, once again, go back to the Jawbreaker and say this is worth the hype. Now, once again, it depends on your preferences. If you would ever use a giant palette like this, I almost feel like, it was worth the hype it got, but I almost feel like it could have gotten more. And I said this before, there's a couple of dud shades in here. Like, this green just really isn't it. this kind of royal blue isn't exactly it either, but honestly, these aren't really like my tones. What I love the most in here is this top 2 rows. I love going in with these pastel shades and just making like a little pastel kawaii glam look. I love the shimmers like Snack and Jawbreaker in the inner corner, and even Cotton Candy is so fun. Probably Bubblegum is one of my favorite shades in my entire collection, and I also really... Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Gumdrop. This purple Gumdrop is one of my favorite shades in my entire collection. It's up there. And I really like Bubblegum too, but it does stain your lids, so that's just kind of like a little bit of annoying. But I just really like this. I don't have a lot of palettes in my collection that I feel like had a lot of hype in terms of eyeshadow palettes. And as far as I can say, this wins for me in terms of worth the hype it got. Okay, now a palette not worth the hype. I'm sorry. Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. I was so excited about this, and to be honest, before this palette, I had not tried Anastasia's eyeshadow formula. I never really fell in love with any of the color stories of the other ones, and then when I saw this, I was excited about it. Modern Renaissance just wasn't really my vibe at the time. The other ones that came after that, like I said, I like playing with color and I like pinky nudes, especially now. And I was excited for this, but every time I think to myself, okay, I'm gonna give it one more try and try to do a look I love out of this, I always just feel like I just don't like the way the look turns out on me. I'm not sure if it's the formula of ABH or what it is. I think it has good quality, just I don't know if it's the tones, the colors, the shades. I just never really like the way it looks on me. The top row is shimmers and the bottom row is mattes. I think Soul was one of the most disappointing shades for me. It just looks a lot more bruisey on me than, say, Gumdrop in the Jawbreaker palette for purple. Obviously, it's deeper and maybe even almost a little more cool or even gray toned. The shimmers are nice, they're lovely, but I just don't really see how it's worth the hype. And I've tried a couple other Anastasia's palettes here and there, but I think maybe I just personally don't like their formula, and like that's totally okay. I never know if I want to hang on to this or if I want to declutter it, but like once again I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to make another look out of this because I love pinks and purples and the shimmers are pretty, and I don't know, I just always feel conflicted about this one ever since I got it pretty much, and that makes me sad, but you know, not worth the hype. Okay, now this next tag is another one that was a little tricky for me to say or determine what my answer would be, but it is show your favorite palette from a favorite brand. And yeah, that one was kind of hard for me. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I'd probably have to say Jawbreaker again, just because I have at the moment a lot of palettes that are like the only one of a certain brand I have right now. Like let's say the ColourPop, even Tarte. I think I only have one right now. The Sugar Pill, I've only tried that one. But I love this palette. It's one of my most used, honestly, because I just love, I even just throw Snack on the lid and that's it. This was something that like I wasn't sure if I wanted at first, but I'm really glad I kind of took the chance and invested in this because it's really kind of told me what kind of color stories I like. I'm interested in trying at some point their Fun Size palette. I heard that that's actually part of their permanent collection, and the colors look really unique and different and can be bold, grungy, or pastel depending on how you play from it, according to what I've heard a couple of creators on here say. That's kind of in my far off wish list of things I might be interested in picking up someday. Yeah, but for now that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe. I will have new videos coming up in the next few weeks as I continue to be observing stay at home as our state kind of goes finally into the next phases of opening up a bit more. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay blessed. Bye!